We call this quilt the Knoxville Crazy Quilt. It is a crazy quilt, and it has some Knoxville connections. When the quilt kind of surfaced, it was down in Atlanta, Georgia. And a person who was appraising the quilt contacted me because she could tell that there were some Knoxville references. And she was trying to date the quilt based on some of those, the names of some businesses. In fact, there's even one here, the Palace Shoe Store, Beeman Brothers, Ramage's Bookstore. Down here it says Kerns. That was a sweet store, a bakery store, and it mentions Market Square, East Market Square, number 10, at where there happened to be an A&P store. There's also a reference to a drugstore that is really right across the street from the Historical Society. So anyway, when she contacted me, I said, "Ooh, this sounds like a very interesting quilt, and could we come look at it?" So staff from here and myself went to see the quilt, took pictures of it, and were fascinated with it. And lo and behold, the owner was interested in selling it. So it came to the History Center. So it's been here about 10 years. It's been on TV, it's been in magazines, and over the years the story has come a little clearer. The first clue to this quilt is this name tag in the corner, and it says Miss Lillie Harvey, Brandau Hill, Clinton Pike City. Well, Brandau, D-A-U Hill, is out Western Avenue. It's up on the hill where Knoxville College is located. Western Avenue used to be called Clinton Pike, and it does eventually go on to Clinton Pike. And city then, although it didn't say Knoxville, is definitely Knoxville. Over here, there's even another connection to this Clinton Pike. It says Wiggins and O&B Country Home Dairy. There's this wonderful image of a horse-drawn dairy wagon. And if you read closely, it says Dairy on Clinton Pike. And again, it says Country Home Dairy, Wiggins, and O&B in the circle. Here's a little man, probably Mr. O&B or Mr. Wiggins, driving the wagon. He's dressed, he's got a hat on, his hair, he's got this wonderful little hand with a mug that's actually coming out away from the surface. And all this work on the wheels and the little step up to the wagon it's just an amazing piece of embroidery work. And the horse too, and his this rein is loose. There's a little bridle. Notice that he's got an eye, a little black bead in the eye. All the people and the animals have a little bead at the eye. What's interesting here too is there's a little carrot coming in from the right side. So anyway, when I first looked at that particular image, I thought, well, it's an advertisement. It says pure sweet milk, no water in it, good in quality and quantity. And there were trade cards, and I thought, well, maybe that's a trade card. So I went looking for that particular trade card here in the History Center, in the library, in the McClung collection. I couldn't find any, but I did find this dairy on Clinton Pike. And then connecting that with Clinton Pike, her name, so she probably lived right near this dairy. Maybe this dairy wagon delivered milk to her house. The next one, again, kind of might be a trade card or an advertising card, and this one is about Kerns Sweet Shop. Peter Kern and his family, I think they were from Switzerland, moved here in the after the Civil War, I'm pretty sure, that's the time, and they set up this it was a sweet shop and bakery, and it was on the corner of Market Square. The building is still there. And it says, well, this little man is reading the News Sentinel. It might be his family at a dinner table. You can lift up that little tablecloth, and underneath are the little legs of this little person. We're not going to do it here. But, and then again, that seems to be an advertising slogan. I think the Knoxville Sentinel is the cheapest and best paper to take. And then this one over here, it looks like the name has been removed and then substituted. It says, I think the A&P, apostrophe S, T, is the best, number 10 East Market Square. And then at the top it says, I wish Mama would buy bread and cake at Kerns all the time. Why did she make this quilt? Who was Lillie Harvey? These were all questions at the beginning of the search. I've never seen a picture of Lillie Harvey, but I know a lot about her. She was born in 1859 in Wisconsin. After the Civil War, her father, James W. Harvey, brought his family, they were teenagers and young adults, unmarried, to Knoxville. He opened a quarry, a marble quarry, and they lived in two places, one right on Clinton Pike, and then eventually he built a mansion he called Mountain View, which is on top of the hillside where the Knoxville Sentinel is now located. There's one magnolia tree left up there, which I think is, you know, I don't know. I would like to think that magnolia tree was there when she lived there. She lived there till about 1920, and then she disappeared from the city directories. But her mother died about that time. Her mother was Anna Harvey, and her mother was from England. And Lillie lived with her mother, didn't marry until after her mother died. Her mother was from England, and going back to the quilt itself, this work is called raised embroidery. Some people call it stump work, but this is not exactly stump. Stump work usually starts with a piece of wood, and they put a little face on it, and then they dress it, and then they actually applique it down. This looks more like it started maybe with a piece of heavy stock paper, and then they dressed it. She dressed it. And then put these little faces in it and did lots of embroidery. This little piece is loose, and it says, wait for me. And here is a skirt going like a person is leaving, and this little girl is saying, wait for me. I thought this was an original design, but I've since found out that this is based on a painting, a Victorian painting by a woman named Sophie Anderson, a British woman who married an American, lived here for a while. She was an illustrator. Her illustrations became quite popular. Now, did Lillie Harvey use that? Well, it's almost an exact copy. Or did she use an embroidery pattern? It's not clear. But anyway, it says Wait for Me. The name of the Sophie Anderson painting was called Wait for Me. There are also some, I think I should say Lillie Harvey was not an African American. People usually come up to me after I've talked about it, and I said, was she African American? There are 3 images here of African Americans. Uncle Dennis Hall on his donkey. Again, wonderful ears and the bridle, very much like the horse up above it. And then we have Topsy, this little girl. She's throwing corn. It says Topsy throwing corn to the ducks in the pond. And in her little turned up apron is a little yellow piece in their cloth. There's a Fountain City pond in this area, and we thought maybe it was that pond. I'm thinking that, and then let's go to the last one. This is Aunt Dinah, Who is Aunt Dinah? I don't know. This one, Dennis Hall, I did try to find that name, but I wasn't successful. But I have a feeling that because she was living on that hill where Knoxville College, an African-American college, Presbyterian college, it was established in the 1880s, about the same time as the family kind of moved up there on that hillside. She was probably interacting with a lot of African-American families, maybe the people who were setting up the school. The school also had a pond behind it. They grew their own vegetables. They had children, not just college age. There were children who attended a school there too. So she very likely is incorporating, or maybe, again, her mother might have worked on this. Her mother, the two of them might have decided to put some of those people that they knew in the neighborhood on the quilt. And then finally, there's a lot of references to the military and wars. And remember, well, the mother was British, although she'd lived here since 1848. I think the Harveys emigrated, the husband and wife emigrated here, and all the children were born here and pretty much lived in Wisconsin. It turns out that there's a Civil War image, this 1861. There's one 1898 from the Spanish-American War. And jumping down here, it says 1898 again for the Spanish-American War. And above it is this embroidered name, Camp Poland. Well, it turns out, I talked to the historian here, and he said, oh, Camp Poland was a encampment just north of the city during the Spanish-American War. It was not in existence very long, but it was a place where regiments came to stay before they were mustered out. And so these she may have lived there, she may have been lived near there, she may have had a brother who was, part of the military. It's not clear. But she has very detailed images. These three are soldiers in their tents. I'm not pointing this one just yet because that has British references. But again, there's these odd little advertisements. The best of reading at Portlock's Bargain Bookstore. Again, that was on Market Square. Or Gay Street, I'm downtown Knoxville. Do they think of me at home? Couldn't write home if paper wasn't so cheap at Ramage's bookstore. Again, that was a bookstore here in downtown Knoxville. And then again, these shoes are all right. I bought them at the Palace Shoe Store, Beeman Brothers and Company. And then look at these, look at the little bedrolls and the flaps. There's a tiny little suitcase. It's a little, that's probably leather right there, the trunks. He's got his uniform hanging inside the tent. The tents from 1899 1898 have these air holes in them. I've checked that too. So I think they relate to 1898. So this one, though, it seems out of place. It looks like she put that down on top of this other work, and it turns out that she has it says World War 1914. She had a nephew out in Kansas who served in World War I, and notice it doesn't say World War I, it says World War 1914. How do we date this quilt? Well, when you've got a date like that, 1914, that's probably the last piece that was done. I'm not positive, but it might be. But I have a feeling that the quilt was made over a much longer period of time, and I really do think her mother helped on it. There are two that are very unusual. I don't know what they mean. This one, a darned snow. It looks like it's a soldier dressed in the same purple uniforms as the ones up above. is walking through a snowstorm made of all these tiny little dots of embroidery yarn. And this one is probably the most, shows the most kind of decay, but it is a woman with in black, with under an umbrella. She's walking through a fence. I don't know what it means, but when it says a rainy Sabbath. We may find that this image was a painting, like the Sophie Anderson painting in the middle. I'm not sure yet. Finally, oh, this is the image. Here it says Todd and Armistead. Well, we'll read the advertisement first. Old Abe is dead and gone. Not so Todd and Armistead's Drugstore, and they cut the prices right. Okay, Todd and Armistead, we know where that drugstore was. It's no longer here, but it was right across the street from the History Center. And it talks about Old Abe, and it says hatched in 1861, died in 1881. It turns out that Old Abe is an eagle. And you can see now when you look at it as an eagle. It was a war eagle that went with the a group of Wisconsin soldiers to battles, and they let the eagle on. They kept it on some kind of tether, and it would go swinging around in a circle over the area and squawk loudly. And so it was hatched in 1861. The men took it to the battle. Afterwards, they brought it back to Wisconsin and kept it in a cage, and apparently it died in 1881. And then they stuffed it, and they kept it in the State House at the Capitol building in Madison, Wisconsin. The building burned. The stuffed eagle was burned up, and they eventually made it into a wooden like a wooden sculpture, and it's still there. If you grew up in Wisconsin, you know about Old Abe. But what I Googled, that's how I found out about Old Abe. But I mean, if you read it like this, it sounds like we're talking about Abe Lincoln. And what hatched? How could Abe Lincoln be hatched in 1861? But now, since we know the story about Old Abe and being an eagle, it makes sense. So I guess the lesson here is if you make a quilt that has your personal story in it, if you would please write the story down. Those of us 100 years from now would really appreciate it. But if it is your own personal story, you may not want to, and just let people kind of work with it and determine it. It is probably flights of fantasy, your imagination, maybe incorporating your own family stories. This one, I mean, with military images, African American images, advertising, embroidery, and the fact that they were living in an adopted home. Knoxville, Tennessee was their second home. They all lived here until the end, but Lillie and her father and her mother lived here until they died. After her mother died, this is kind of an interesting story. I don't have a picture of her, but there was a divorce. The father and the mother, 46-year-old marriage, split. The two daughters sided. One sided with the father, one sided with the mother. Lillie sided with the mother, and I think they were making this quilt after that divorce. When the mother died, Lillie reconnected with a boyfriend from Madison, Wisconsin, and he was the son, he was George Bryant Jr. He was the son of the Colonel, George Bryant Sr., who went to war, to the Civil War, with Old Abe. So there's Wisconsin history here, there's Knoxville history here, and there's probably still more to be determined. Thank you. I'm glad we show it often. It's not something that you could show on a regular basis because of all this detail work, but I'm glad that we can show it and share it.